Hi everyone, welcome back to the Be Nice show. This is Sarah. I'm so happy to be back. And as we wind down the year, I'm so excited to bring on something new, something we've never visited before. And I hope you will like it just as much as I'm anticipating. So in today's podcast, we've got a lovely, lovely lady. She's an astrologer and she's a healer as well, but she'll tell us more about that. She's an astrologer. She practices Kabbalistic and Babylonian astrology, which is foreign to most of us. I mean, some of us are more familiar with the Western astrology, but this is slightly different, and she'll tell us more about that. But first of all, let's just welcome Esther to the show. Hi, Esther. Welcome
Hello.
to the Be Nice show. Nice to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really a pleasure. I really appreciate your time and the space you provide for interact with your audience. Absolutely.
Amazing. I've been following your work for a bit, and sometimes I find it even much as I've been studying here and there, but I find your work a bit deep, which is why I would like us to sort of take our listeners step by step and open up probably a whole new world for them. So so you practice astrology, Kabbalistic and Babylonian astrology. What is that even?
So of course, we need to understand what is really astrology, right? Astrology, every time when we look at the sky, we always wonder what's really out there, right? And
yes.
many people, more and more, they awaken and they ask much deeper questions. And this is why when you understand more and more sky, and with the sky you understand your astrological chart, you sort of say connect to your true self. Because if we, without going a little bit deep, it's going to be hard for me to explain, but I'm going to put this way. First of all, what is the astrology? Astrology represents in Western astrology, for example, in mundane astrology, we have 12 signs. And if you look at the, almost like, let's say, cake, which is divided for 12 pieces. And each piece represents different force of energy, and it's represent different sign. In each piece as well, call a house, which is house represent different force of energy. What's really important to understand as well, let's say, hypothetically speaking, your audience believe in incarnation. So then we understand every time when our soul choose to come back again and again, we choose a certain environment, family, country, time, and moment of birth. Because this combination, this beautiful, beautiful combination will provide exactly the missing journey we need in order to complete our journey for our soul to be again to be part of the creator, because we all came from such a big place, from for collective consciousness. We're so big, our soul so huge, we can't even comprehend. But every time when we come back to this dimension, we purposely ask to forget everything except whatever we accomplish in our past lives. We definitely take in with us as a, so to say, background memory and on subconscious level. And every time during the journey, our lifetime, slowly by slowly, with our spiritual work, we're awakening the knowledge we already have in something where we came from. So it's really important as well for all of us to understand astrology. It's not just to understand what is the next week, phase for you on maybe what day you should marry, what day you should be business. It's really good information for sure, which is, I never recommend to be completely slave of it, because we are creators, we are walking gods. We really need to understand that. And by understanding the astrology in your own chart, you will understand really precisely what traits of character, why certain challenges was given to you, why certain challenges you're facing, and how you can overcome them much easier instead to go against your own self. It's not always in spirituality and as well in Kabbalistic knowledge. I myself, I call myself Kabbalistic astrologer, and with Babylonian schools as well. We need to understand, if we cannot go deeper, but always with mercy, always with a lot of love, this is the only way for us to understand who we are. And while we're trying to fix, so to say, or to change certain things in others, I don't like word to fix. I like word to transform. Every
That's
time
right.
when we're trying to transform certain traits of character, with the help of astrological map, you can see, I will give you example. Let's say somebody have a rising in Cancer, just for the example, right?
I'm
If some,
Cancerian. Go on.
oh, beautiful. You're probably considering Western astrology, which is I
Yes.
explain
No,
the
both.
difference. Yes,
Both.
okay. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Let's say you're Cancerian, but sign of Cancer, by the way, it's a small fixed sign. So if, for example, you're rising Cancerian, right? And let's say your degrees is exactly inside of the Cancer of stomach. So it's mean you have one of the highest psychic abilities of all zodiac signs, because there's a special noble star inside of the Cancer, which will provide you additional traits of character and divine inspiration for you to understand things on completely different level. So we're talking about, maybe because I jumped a little bit further, let me just explain what is the difference between Western astrology and sidereal Babylonian astrology. So sidereal, yes. So Western astrology was created roughly about 2,000 years ago. And it really was made more so to say for simple people. To understand what I mean by simple people, the royalties and noble people never used Western astrology back then. They only use fixed sign, direct sky. Because when you look at each constellation, you will see they have a different sizes. For example, we have a constellation like Virgo. It's one of the larger constellations, so it cannot fit in the 30 degrees, same as a small constellation like Cancer. So this is why it's really important to understand. Second, when Western astrology was created, since then up to date, we already lost 23 degrees. What does it mean? Every 72 years, the Earth, so to say, have a tiny stopper. This is how we lose in some degrees. So now it is time, if you compare sidereal and Vedic astrology, by the way, Indian astrology have absolutely same calculation. The only thing the only thing Indian astrology, they do not consider midheaven. They do not consider outer planets like Uranus, like Pluto. They don't really deal with that. They have a little bit different approach, but very accurate. They have, so to say, nakshatras. This is how they call certain planets. Now, the Babylonian Western astrology and what I practice, it came from Mesopotamia. And who came from Mesopotamia? Abraham, right?
I literally
the first
just wrote down
father.
Abraham.
Yes. Yes, and Abraham was one of the first astrologers, was given knowledge directly from the creator. He given a book, it's called Sefer Yezirah. You see the book I have behind me, the large book? With the, yes. So this is the oldest book known, and was given all the secrets about creation. It's the book which is provide information, not just about astrological sign, about deep understanding of your incarnations, of your soul, how your soul, your unique soul, understands certain structure and receive information in order to bring more light to this world. It's really, really fascinating. And Abraham, he used to go and calculate stars. He was shepherd, one of the richest people in the world at the time. And it's used to people used to think that shepherds the best astrologers. Why? Because they spend under the sky most of the time. And what is the best astrologer? The one who observed the sky, not just the one who just using degree and calculation. You really need to observe the sky to understand what's really the behavior of certain stars. And this is how, when Abraham was calculating the stars, he realized he cannot have children, neither does his wife Sarah. And this is the moment when Creator spoke to Abraham, and he said to him, Abraham, Abraham, stop count the stars, start to move them. I'm going to repeat again. Stop count the stars, start to move them. It's very deep. Because when what Creator was telling him, I gave you all the tools. As soon you're going to apply spirituality, as soon you start to work with the law of creation, you will be in control of your own chart. You will be in control of your stars. This is the whole idea.
Move the stars.
Yes, this is why Creator told him, Stop. And this is the moment when
Wow.
Creator told him, stop to be dependent on destiny. Destiny is for people, really, who don't work on themselves. Then stars do with them whatever they want. But people who transform, people who constantly develop inside of them Creator within, who they start the sharing and giving process, who understand the law of creation. This is the people who activate in the Creator within. They start willing to use, because the Creator, it's not in church, not in synagogue. It's good to be part of the community, don't get me wrong, but the
Yes.
Creator, it's inside of you.
Within.
You know, yes, you know, heart in Hebrew, it's lev. It's contained two Hebrew letters, lamet and bet. And the Torah,
Oh, wow.
and the Torah start with letter bet, bracha, blessing, and with last letter lamet, which is what is together, it's heart. This is the whole secret. You understand?
Wow.
You can study day and night, you can have tremendous knowledge, but if you don't know how to open your heart, you never will feel the knowledge. You never deliver the knowledge. This is how it's important. You see, all this profound information, it's so simple at the end. This is how it's important. So for us to understand that, you know, Western astrology deal with seasons mainly. It does not really deal directly with sky. It's deal with seasons and dealt with degrees, which is, there's a lot of information. I don't want to underestimate Western astrologers. There's a very professional people who have divine inspiration, and if they're using it together, then yes, definitely they can be good messengers. But really simply, as a Western astrology, it's not something I wanted to practice, because it's such a limited, it's, I would say, literally like a 5% of what it's actually out there. Now, the Babylonian Sidereal system deal with fixed sign, direct sky. So on top of, for example, you know, you're Cancerian, it's not enough. The sign of Cancer built for multiple stars. So with that, you need to know what royal start you get, what certain stars challenge you more. There's so much information there. I will give you another example. Let's say somebody has a constellation rising in Gemini. By the way, her rising, it's one of the most important things you have in your chart. And then you have a moon, because rising, whatever you receive with your meridian rising, which is I'm going to show you after his example.
Yes.
This is the most important thing. And whatever even star your meridian touch the stars you came with, this is really your surround light. Or makif, it's called in Hebrew, your surround light.
Surround light.
So this is really, really important. The meridians, it's really important as well. Your horizon and your meridians as well, the two meridians on top of your, this is why it's extremely important to know your time of birth. A lot of people don't. And even they can tell you, I have a lot of clients who come to me and telling me, my mom think it's between between 3 and 4, and this is the challenge. But at least I have this window. So what I do, I interview individual as well. While I'm working on somebody's map prior, I always I try to connect to the soul. And sometimes if I have a merit, sometimes I get messages from ancestral lineages who helping me to even explain certain things from the past for the person, because without understand and appreciate our past, we can really find ourselves today, which is another magnificent thing you receive from both nodes, which is receiving our chart, right? I'm jumping from so many places. I'm trying to
I'm noting a few things down, and we'll come back to them.
Of course, of course. So just to finish my thoughts to comparing Western astrology and sidereal astrology, and sidereal, which is the fixed direct sky, we need to understand it's extremely important to observe sky. I always recommend my students and my clients to find time and just look at the sky. It's very, very healing, and especially when you get to know yourself through your chart and understand more and more. There's so many tips I'm giving to individual to understand when he's going through certain traits of character, certain period of time, just to come back to the chart. Just look, just to understand how things working, because we're not black and white. We have 10 people inside. We're all cuckoo. We're not normal, and it's good. It's a good thing.
You're explaining me right now.
Yeah, but instead to go to take some chemicals, some medication. Again, I'm not here a doctor tell you if somebody has chemical disbalance, it's something else. But many times people are searching for quick solution instead really to work inside and to understand how to communicate with your own self. If you have rising Gemini, you definitely have a few people inside. You need to know how to communicate, how to talk to your inner self, and instead to reject and to be somebody else because society required from you, or because somebody told you how they see you, which is, of course, it's important. Always don't kill the messenger, but at the same time, before you let someone to, so to say, sometimes destroy your mood or to shake you back and forth, you need to learn who you are, because Sarah, as soon you know who you are, it's so liberating. There's nothing better, I promise you. Then
Yeah, go on.
Then nobody can come and, so to say, destroy your day or take you away from who you are. You will take within, you will take as a bigger blessing, as a message, and you will work with. This is another, there's so many steps. There's so many different approaches we can take. We cannot take ourselves literally. We need to have so much appreciation for who we are, to look at ourselves something. We representative of creator in this dimension. The three other kingdom was made prior. So creator, as such a good parent, he prepared for us all the environment. He gave us mineral kingdom, vegetarian kingdom, animal kingdom, and then us. Everything was developed before we were created. There's a reason for it. So we need to nourish everything. We need to understand how everything work together. And we as creators, as a superior, we need to behave like ones. Like one, we need to be more caring to everything what around us, even an animate subject. It's really important. Everything has a consciousness, everything. This is how powerful. We're very, very powerful, Sarah.
Okay, I want to come back to a couple of things. You mentioned of an astrological chart, and I don't know if some of our listeners or people watching us, if they've ever come across one, if they've ever done it. I know many people have never, like people have come across who have never even thought of an astrological chart. And then you talked about rising. I noticed that you're talking more of the rising star and the moon, whereas most times you tend to look at the sun. So first of all, let's start with that. What's the difference between the sun and the rising star, and the rising and how do they, what part do they play in my life? And the reason I brought this up is recently I was talking to a lovely couple, and someone mentioned that men tend to work more around their moon, whereas women operate from their rising. Would you be able to explain to us why you're leaning more towards the rising, and what an astrological chart, or how it's put together?
You see, my challenge, in a sense, I will try to simplify it, and I will try to explain, but for that, definitely you need some kind of basics. Let's put this way. I'm going to share with you a screen of, I have a screen actually I prepare. It's a screen of New York. Okay.
Right.
Beautiful. Okay, you can see it. Just for you guys to have a make sense, because even when I work with someone, we work directly. I never do session over the phone. I don't like that. I always insist you actually can have at least laptop in order for you to have a large screen, so you can with me together visualize, because then you're not just going to listen to my voice. You will adapt with your eyes, and it's very healing process for as well. So I'm gonna right now, I open chart of New York, and just for us, just as example. So you can see we have a wheel, right?
Yes.
And the wheel has the 12 pieces like a cake.
Yes.
Now, what's really important for us to understand, those 12 pieces, they very, very important. They represent 12 zodiac signs. Okay. Now, one of the most important ingredients when we're born, it's a rising sign. For that, we need to know the exactly moment of your birth. As I mentioned before, many times people tell me, my mom think between roughly that. So for this, we usually interview people. I usually interview just to kind of reconfirm, then this is what I'm assuming the rising can be. But if you like enough to know precise your rising, it's the best. Now, it's not a simple answer, because here we entering to completely different, so to say, different levels. Let's say I'm doing chart for somebody who's a young, under age 25. So in this case, his rising or her rising and sun will be almost like a superior in a chart. As soon as I'm making a chart for somebody who already age over 35, the moon taking over more. But it's again, it's not black and white. If, let's say, you're rising, in this case, United States, New York have rising 5 degrees, and moon has a 2 degrees. In this particular chart, moon is the king of the chart. Because every time if you take rising in your moon, I'm going to give you a secret. This is how ancients work. As soon you have sun, forget about for now. I'm going to put sun on the side. Sun, it's way too big in its influence us on such a different level. It's represent father in your chart, by the way, sun. And moon represent your mother figure in your chart.
Interesting.
Yes. So in rising, it represents your ego. It's something which is you came to really work. This is why rising always in your first house, the house of self. And from the rising, all other planets and zodiac signs falling, so to say. Therefore, rising, it is important. So sometimes when I have someone who absolutely have no rising, sometimes I'm not taking reading. It depends on the age. If someone over 35, 40, I can work with moon, but rising, it is important. I won't lie to you. So what's happened in this particular case, I always ask my audience, I don't know if you listen to some of my videos when I do for 12 signs, sometimes explanation and recommendation. I don't call prediction, I call recommendation. So I always mention 2 major things. I always mention, if, for example, you're born after sunset, you should work with your moon. Check always according to your moon. Because you are more on the moon side. You came with the energy, which is moon was superior when you're born. If you're born after sunrise until sunset, you definitely should mainly use your rising. But depends on the degrees as well. I'm not trying to complicate things, but at the same time, I want you guys right away to connect to more precise understanding of the sky, how magnificent it is. So every time when planet hold less degree, this planet have much bigger energy and ability and freshness to take over of the chart, okay? Therefore, moon is extremely important, and moon, it's in Hebrew, it's called or pnimi, your insight light. Moon represents your deeper thoughts, represent your emotions, represent who you really are when no one sees you. And rising, it's represent your active nature, your ego, when you're going outside, when you're hunting, when you're searching, when you're
what you want people to see.
Yes, when you're selling yourself for outside world, it's your rising. Now your sun, it's between ego and emotions, because the sun is superior. It's represent Leo. It's represent nobles, and it's represent father in your chart. According to that, I can say a lot of things about your parents and what was the thoughts in their mind while they were thinking how to create you. Because I'm going to right now stop. Let me show you other couple of things before I'm going to stop sharing. Another really very important information, we always need to look at it. You see, we have 2 letters. It's called MC, midheaven. So MC, it's what God had in mind for you to work on it and to overcome and to become. This is, so to say, the mission. It's your mission, your calling. It's always so funny. It's MC, but you can call mission calling, I always say.
I like
because
that.
if you really, for example, in this case, the high meridian going through the two Gemini, even though it's inside of the Cancer, but it's
Yes.
actually end up touching the Geminis, and not far for planet from royal star Castor. So for example, someone who have this type of horizon, this is someone who in potential have a big desire, publicity, who really will, because it's still touching Cancer, it will put the heart, but along with the noise and with a lot of with the marketing. And you know, it's like unbelievable. By the way, people usually Cancerian, they always have energy of Gemini. Why? Because Cancer has two letters, and those two letters came from Taurus and from Gemini. I'm talking about the Hebrew astrology.
The Hebrew letters.
Yeah, the
Yes.
Hebrew letters. But what is really Hebrew astrology? The Sefer Yezirah, the book of creation. It's called Book of
Creation, yes.
Formation and Book of
Mhm.
Creation.
Mhm.
Every Hebrew letter, whatever planets we have, the whole creation was created according to the Hebrew alphabet, because it's not just letters. It's not just belong to one nation. It's the Torah, and the whole earth was created according with the thoughts of the creation of the Torah. It's not just old testimony or just some religious book. It's like a life identity. So therefore, we need to understand. I recommend to always to all my clients and students, no matter from what religious background you came from, no matter what spirituality, to have a basic foundation understanding of Kabbalistic knowledge, it's must. Why? Because it's almost like you're going to gain proper vessel to hold the light, whatever you receive. Okay, it's like the proper alphabet foundation. So what's really fascinating about the Hebrew astrology and technology, each sign has a different letter, and letter has a lot of secrets inside as well. So what is this sign of Cancerian? We're going to touch up on again.
Yes, I was going to ask you.
Yes, it's Het and Tet. Now, Het and Tet, one came from Taurus, and another one, because the Het, if you look at it, it's Vav and Zayin. It's two letter. I know it's complicated, but people who know Hebrew, they will understand. So if you look at letter Het, it's created by two letters, Zayin and Vav. And Zayin came from Gemini, and Vav came from Taurus. So so they work so hard in order to create Cancer. Cancer has a lot of energy. This is very unique sign. It's the sign, it's the social worker of the world. Therefore, Cancerians need to learn how to save the energy, how to not to give too much, how to know what is the concept of giving and sharing, how to, when they enter room, they already feel people energy. Because they walk in healer, but in order for you to heal somebody else,
the walking healer.
first,
I like that.
Yeah, they need to know how to heal themselves. You know, if you go into dietologist, someone who can help you with diet, and the person overweight, you can't really, take too seriously the doctor who's not really taking care of themselves. So same thing here, in order for Cancerian to really use the healing ability and why they came to this world, first, they constantly need to feel the balance. Constantly not to care too much about outside world, what they feel, what they see, because don't forget the Cancer as a sign, the outside, the shelf, it's very hard, but inside it's smushy. It's smushy, it's so warm, and people never can guess what's going on. And sometimes, Cancer can be hurt. He's never show, but shop closed, nobody home. And you cannot reach out until, but as soon you know and understand, you start to communicate with those identities. And it's completely different process. You agree? So you can imagine.
I do.
Yeah.
And what I'm thinking about right now, you said initially at the very beginning about moving the stars, when the creator told Abraham to move the stars. So I'm thinking a Cancerian probably needs to move a few stars around to overcome some of the challenges, like absorbing too much of everything and finding balance, because we struggle with that.
But you see, by just knowing your is Cancer your sun or your rising?
I don't know, my rising is Aries.
Okay, so but again, it's probably in Western astrology because you never did. Yeah. So it's most likely most likely you Pisces in really directly in the sky. But anyway, we're not going to go to that. Not just Cancerian, any sign needs to understand basic things we need to understand. The nonsense, the way how we know about ourselves and how we feel ourselves, it's many times built in and created by so many things, society, people who we grew up, the environment we grew up, and many times we don't even know who we are. And the society would look, and the like nonsense and notions we think what we really need. It's really important to communicate with yourself. Very, very important to practice a few basic tools. First of all, when you in the middle of conflict, you need to know how to stop and to breathe and to zoom out and try to observe yourself in situation as an outsider. This is very, very important, because it's like when movie director make a movie, the only way for him to make good movie and to understand, he cannot be the actor. He needs to zoom out and to be there as an observer.
Look at the bigger picture.
Yes, bigger picture. And to see yourself, very important, because many times we constantly analyze and judge other people, how they were with us, what they say, but we don't really, we're not comfortable enough to really face our own self and to come zoom out. And it's all practice. It's all consistency.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you, say, for example, if, say, I did a chat with you and I understood, like, say, my mission in life and everything else, and the things that trigger me and where that comes from or why it is in my life, at what point, or would you, say, for example, be able to tell me, okay, this is why you're here, this is what triggers you, and this is how best you can react or handle certain things? Or would I have to figure that out myself?
It's definitely
not
yes, of course. No, you very much making sense, and many of my clients really have a similar approach. So let's really understand the basics. Let's come back to like a really basic foundation. Before we come to this world, we're coming from somewhere. So it's mean we're coming to this world with certain package. So they call North and South nodes. In Indian astrology, they call Ketu and Rahu. In Kabbalistic astrology, it's a dragon, which is the head of dragon and the tail of dragon. It starts with the word L-I-L-T. We don't pronounce her name. So this is really important. Without other side, we cannot do work here. Now, what we need to understand, I always look at the person South Node and North Node. The North Node, South Node, it's where you came from, your past lives. It's, so to say, the traits of character you're already used to, you adapt to, and you feel comfortable. And many of them, they're not serving you sometimes, because if, for example, past life you were Leo, you're really used to people serving you. And this lifetime, you're not getting opposite. You've been put in an environment you really need to earn. It's going to be really bother you. And you're going to sometimes wait for certain blessings just appear without you to work on it. You understand? And this is when you need to understand. And let's say this lifetime, your Rahu, your North Node, your Tikkun in Hebrew, your correction, this incarnation, in Aquarius, the opposite of it. So what it means, it's spirituality. It's to know how to really to be there for humanity, but not just to be for humanity, to know how to really deal one-on-one relationship. It's a big challenge for Aquarius, right? Because one-on-one relationship, it's a commitment. It's something you need to be more present, and it's not easy for Aquarius because they want the whole world. Yeah, they want to constantly bigger picture, but because it's so easy for you. So because your past, you used to live when people really serving you, and you have a lot of wealth most of the time, and you perhaps maybe abuse your power. Now this lifetime, the light is going to put you in an environment and send you people where you need to bend yourself. And it's a good thing to humble yourself down. And as soon you understand that, and instead to go against you and telling you I'm so not lucky and pity me, no, you say, oh, I see. But for that, you need to grow spiritually. See, my clientele and my students, one of the homework I'm giving to them, it's continuous spiritual work. Because without spiritual work, your own stars, as I said in the beginning, gonna completely manipulate you and do with you whatever you want. But soon you have it's like a GPS system. As soon you have a map road, you have a GPS system. Instead for you to go like we go like 40 years in desert, we could just cross Red Sea and be next day in Israel. You remember that? But creator said, no, 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 no. You need to go around. You need to earn the light. You need to have a vessel in order for you to appreciation. Because if you're going to jump right now from Egypt to Israel, you will have no appreciation. You will be burned by the energy. Same thing in life.
Do you know what? It's very interesting. And as you're saying this, I remember the question someone asked me recently when I said I was doing a podcast with you. She wondered if or how astrology affects our relationships. And this is friends, family, and love relationships and business.
But it's so interesting you ask this question. If you remember when I was showing the map, we have a first house. The first house always face 7th house. And 7th house is relationship, is the house of relationship. And we turning our back because it's all about ourselves and we're turning the back. So this is why when you look at somebody's chart and you look at the 7th house, inside of the 7th house, you can see so many things about the personal approach of relationship, not just love relationship, the one-on-one relationship with yourself. By the way, the 2nd house, the house of Taurus, is the house of self-worth. This is another thing, very important, by the way, because a lot of people, in order for you to give, you need to understand what is the sustenance and self-worth, because sustenance is not just money. Sustenance directly represents self-worth, how you really appreciate yourself, how you hold yourself, how you hold the space when it's almost impossible. Because remember, with the restriction, a lot of appreciation light comes. Because when you have no restriction to eat food, you gain overweight, you're tired, even whatever tastes initially good is not taste. But it's all about balance. It's all about know how to stop. It's in Hebrew, in the Kabbalistic terminology, we have it's called direct light and return light. On the same capacity, you want to receive love and you want to receive appreciation, you need to be prepared on the same capacity to give the same amount. You understand? So this is the tango. I call the universe tango. Everything, the whole universe, it's about sex, not physical sex. Sex is the word represent much bigger picture. It's how we interact with everything around us.
The femininity, the masculine
the male,
energy.
the female we have inside of us. All of us. And it's so important to nourish, to observe, to understand. So with regards to relationship, each chart represents different. Some charts, for example, if I'll give you example, let's say your Venus in Capricorn. And what's really important in only ancient astrology, if your Venus in the 2nd part of your chart, it's mean your Venus came from night chart. So what is the night woman, for example, female, when she has a Venus in the low level, she's going to be more she's going to be more sweet with men. She will let men to manage her more. She will make, like to be like more less controversial.
Submissive?
She's going to be like more what?
Is she going to be more submissive?
More submissive. I don't like to use this word, yes, but so to say, yeah. But if you have a woman who's Venus in the upper, no, it's different story. She's the warrior. This is the Amazon. You understand? We have 5 different Venuses because of the star. But in a very simple, not to complicate things for your audience, I'm going to just use as a 2 example. And then we really depends. Let's say Venus in Capricorn. If you have Venus and Capricorn for both men and women, you will be looking for a partner who has a status in this lifetime. Your life, your love, not going to be enough just, okay, we have a good sex and he's sometimes give me flower. No, no, no. This is different foundation, different quality. You want to make sure, you know, you want to make sure then you go into public, you're going to be proud to appear with your partner. This is the Venus in Capricorn. And
Really?
oh yes, and he needs to be, and usually men and women will be drawing to people who are older than them, including men too, when you have Venus. And if you have Venus and Libra, which is her own house,
So interesting.
you're going to be, and don't forget, what is the Venus in Hebrew, in astrology? And it's not, in Western astrology is the most positive planet, but not in Hebrew
Yes.
astrology. It's a very challenging planet because
Oh,
it's
really?
called in Hebrew Noga. Noga, it's one of the heaviest klipot because Venus is surrounded by fog in nature, if you go in cosmos. And it's a harder spiritual work when you have no clarity. If you drive your car in the fog, it's the worst because you cannot see where you drive. This is why Venetian people, Taurus, especially Libra, one of the tikkun in Hebrew tikkun is correction. It's to make quick decision. Just do it. You know the logo for Nike. Just do it. This is for them. Just do it.
So that's
because,
what the Taurus
and Libra, but we're talking about sidereal system. So sidereal. So for example, if you thought you are, if let's say you think you are Scorpio, you most likely Libra. This is the funny part about it.
What? Just do it. This is so interesting. It's so from what you've explained, I'm already seeing a picture. And when you mention, like, say, obviously the star, the signs I know are in Western, but then again, I'm just understanding that if you do this, this is going to affect you. And but if you do this, this is going to, it's like cause and effect, but you need to know where you're standing, what you came with, and what you need to work on. And possibly, like you say, you get a map, a roadmap of where you're going and how you're going to go there.
And believe me, nobody going to be, I'm not going to be beside you to hold your hand. I'm giving you the information. It's really good and important, definitely, to do the follow-up and everything. And I'm doing specific homework according to the chart what I give. I never tell person what to do, in the sense to take opportunity of the person of his own action, because you need to earn.
What's that word? Free will.
Free will, exactly. Free will, and as well the opportunity, because you perhaps you need to go a certain struggle in order to earn yourself. In order for us really to find who we are without going to resistance. When you go into gym, if you're going to pick up just pen, how much really with this resistance you can create muscle group? Not much. But if you go into gym, you're working on your breathing system, you're constantly consistent, you combine your food, you combine your discipline, completely different results. But again, depends on your body, depends on your family, depends on you, on your on your family build. If you came already and for you it's much harder to lose weight, someone losing weight so easy, everyone. Same thing with spirituality. We can't expect from us to have a happy life only because yesterday we were reading some book and we were really enlightened, but while you close the book, you're going outside and you will be challenged by people. This is when the work starts. You understand?
One of the best books I've read was what's the guy's name? The Psycho-Cybernetics. It's a very, very simple psychological book. It breaks down characteristics and what drives us and why we are the way we are. I remember at the end in the book, you had exercises you needed to do. And at the end of each chapter, you sort of had to put the book down and apply those tools into your life. So it was such a, I don't want to say life-changing book, but it was such a great book that at the end of the book, you were already applying the tools from the book.
It's all about practice. It's practice. It's the key.
Yes. And sometimes we have like thousands of books we read and we're like, I read that, but I don't remember anything from that book and I didn't take anything from it. 100%. Speaking of books and charts and tables, I recently read somewhere that Christopher Columbus as he was traveling, he used an astrological table for his travels. And I thought that was, I mean, we're talking how many years back? And then I wondered, are you familiar with an astrological table,
So
or is it the same thing as a chart?
he's actually had a Christopher Columbus. He's a convert, right?
Is he?
Yeah, he's a
Oh, I
convert.
didn't know that.
Yeah, he convert to Catholicism, from which
Okay.
it's not possible. He came from Jewish family, and he has
Yes.
and he had a Hebrew knowledge as well. One of the Kabbalists was traveling with him, and they use Book of Zohar. And they use Book of Zohar. Of course, it's really no, in fact, it's actually in a library in the United Kingdom. One of the libraries, they have information along in the same place about the Newton, right? Because Newton
Yeah,
used
I
the
know about
knowledge of,
Newton.
Newton used the
Yes.
knowledge of Zohar. You see the red books behind me is the books of Zohar. It's called Books of Splendor. The only books who are reading in Aramaic, and it says Aramaic is the only language not understood by angels. And the creator, he purposely create a direct connection for us, for human, just by open Zohar and scan with your eyes, even without even knowing how. It says you have a direct connection with the creator without intermediate, so to say, the engines as angels. Now, to come back to Christopher Columbus, his knowledge came from Book of Formation, Sefer Yezirah behind me. And they were using, Kabbalists, they had an ability to transport themselves to any planet they want. I'm going to repeat again. I'm not here to freak out, your audience, but Kabbalist, it's not just a normal human being. They didn't pursue and receive and see matter, the physical material, the hard material, as we do. They can see the movement of molecules, of everything, the atoms, how the matter built. Therefore, they could go through the walls without even see, they don't need, but they didn't show this to people. And if you look at Sefer Yetzirah and Book of Zohar, only in 1972, science confirmed that sun, what color? Do you know what color sun is?
No.
The sun, it's color green. The real color of sun, it's not yellow, it's not gold, it's green.
No
and the
way.
Zohar, yes, in the Zohar and Book of Formation, it's all this information there. I've always loved these discover new things, but nobody opening the Zohar.
Well, you just discovered it. Wow.
Yes. So when Christopher Columbus was traveling, he wasn't traveling with the ordinary person. He, so to say, traveled with Superman, who was able, by channeling with the Kabbalists, they have ability to connect to other Kabbalists who left this dimension on the physical level, but they're still here. We don't see them, but it doesn't mean, when person leave this world, for us not to see him, doesn't mean he's not here. It really depends on the level of the soul. So we're talking about not ordinary. So his work, it wasn't really just his work of the creation. And Kabbalists never took upon themselves to ego, then they the one who discover. They always use themselves, their souls, as an intermediate channel for us laymen to see what is possible, where we came from. Absolutely. It says in our ancient book in Talmud, we have 36 tzaddikim. Tzaddik in Hebrew is the righteous person. We always have 36 tzaddikim must live in the earth in order for this earth to exist, through the prayers and through communication, and they in different tribes. And many times they never announce, I'm the tzaddik, nobody. This is why they call hidden tzaddikim. Okay, so it's really important.
The hidden righteous, the hidden sages.
Yes,
wow.
Exactly. And this is why. So with regards to the astrology, you have so many components. They have so many departments. You can have astrologer who specifically specialize on financial side of the world. You have astrologer who specifically specialize on politician and the countries. And you have astrologer like myself, I specialize on people. For me, each person is like a universe. When I work with someone and I open chart, I always so careful. I always say to creator, I'm so appreciated. And I have this opportunity to look at the soul and I tell person how much it's important for him to work together because the things we're going to right now touch and discover, it's so precious. And whatever information you're going to receive, I wanted to really nourish, to take with you for such a long journey, and to almost to fall in love with yourself from the new place. You know, it's so important, because this is what Creator wants us. In order for us to give, to be a really good giver and representation here, without internal love, you can't produce love. It can. But you see, at the same time, the broken heart is the most beautiful heart.
I know that from Rumi.
Actually, it's actually one of our righteous as well. It's actually says in the Gemara, the most beautiful heart is the broken heart. Listen, nothing was discovered and will be discovered in the earth, then it's not in Torah. And I'm not coming from the place of religious at all. It is nothing. I'm just want to right away announce, I don't consider myself a religious person. I actually believe there will be no religious in that, only spirituality. But Torah, but Torah and Kabbalistic knowledge is the spirituality. Is the something was given to us as a super practical tools. It's almost like the manual for a soul to understand how the creation work, what is the world of angels, what is the world animal kingdoms, how come the human soul in animals many times, because of the incarnation process they need to go through with lack appreciation of the animal kingdom. What's going on, why suddenly you attract specific partner? Why you think myself, no, tomorrow I want to marry somebody else, until you transform yourself. This is going to be same guy with different name and different appearance.
Different face.
Yes, but it's going to be, so we need to understand the only person we can change is ourselves. Nobody else. You know, it says, as soon you elevate your consciousness, even the grass greener outside.
Because you mentioned that when you work with people, say when you're doing their chart and they're not, they don't remember the days or time the time they were born, you're able to sort of work with them or connect to other.
But for that, I need at least some window. And let's say if they know, you know, I born evening, so I can work with you few signs, because there's a translation chart. I can ask many questions, etc. For the young people under age 35, anyone who over 35, 37, when moon taken over, in this case, I can work with moon. But the only thing in that case, it's going to be a little bit harder to understand outer planets. But what's really important, we're still getting exactly moon and the moon nodes, which is we always connect to your past, what is your future present, and the midheaven can help us as well. But definitely, ideally, to know exact, if not, at least the window. If not, we can always, but again, if person open enough and have a desire, really want to get know themselves, then their soul allow me to connect to my mochin. In Hebrew, mochin, it's come from word moch, brain. Each of us born with a specific spirit, and then after age 12 and 13, we get an additional ones, because we need to go to the next level on independence. On independence, women 12 and men 13. And you know, Sarah, what's really important, it's always very admiring when person came to the place in the life when they really truly want to understand who they are. And when you start this process, many things used to bother you won't bother you anymore. Many things it used to be important, you suddenly reevaluate.
You don't get triggered at all. I think it sort of gives you, you know that, oh, you know what, I'm going to get triggered, but then again, it's not about the other person, it's about me, what I need to change within me. This summer, I got really triggered, like by so many things. But I knew this lady who kept telling me, oh, it's not that person, it's you. And I go like, why? She's like, yeah, just take it that it's you. And through obviously reading and studying and the rest of it, even just staying quiet and listening to my inner voice, I realized that, yeah, probably we have a lot of work to do. The other thing I wanted to ask you was, I've been writing down a few things. You talk about healing when you visit your website and everything. What sort of healing do you do? Is it like inner child or
what is really healing? The healing starts when you start to work on yourself. So the healing, when I'm looking at person chart, I can see as well certain physical potential problems, and as well
Right.
if you're going through some physical challenge. But we need to understand the physicality start from our emotional state. It's number one. And you know, it actually says, I know you, most of your clients probably not familiar. We have a 10 sferot, 10 illumination, right? You can see I even wearing, it's called Tree of Life. In the Tree of Life, Tree of Life. In the Tree of Life reality, there's a special place. It's very, very high. It's called Chokhmah. It came from the word wisdom. It's actually says as soon person touch and understand his purpose, the physical healing start. I'm going to repeat again. Each person start to, I'm working right now on a new video. It's healing with Kabbalistic knowledge. I'm going to explain all the 10 sferot in each part of the body, how it's connected. But when you're trying to heal yourself on a physical level, when you have a problem on the physical level, it's mean a much bigger problem on the emotional and on the soul level. I don't want to call problem, but it's mean some disbalance, which is need to align. But I'm going to give you guys the most important tip. It's going to be so simple, but it's the most profound. And believe me, if not our ancients,
I'm excited.
you can't find this information anywhere. But I'm gonna mention name one of the righteous person who really used this tool. His name was Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov is the huge tzaddik, righteous person who create Hasidut. He created the big lineage in 16th century. What's really unique about him, he was one of the first Kabbalists who brought Kabbalah in simplify in such a level. Then, you know, it's after Isaac Luria and Kabbalah, which is we study the white books I have behind me. It's not the first Kabbalist who really adopt Kabbalah knowledge for us layman in much simple way, because before to study Kabbalah was impossible. Only people who really with deep knowledge of Talmud and Torah and deep knowledge, only people was allowed. Then we had a special cosmic energy, special cosmic event when the other souls tzaddikim born, and they realized the humanity getting to closer to the age of Aquarius, where we're going to bring final redemption. And what is the final redemption? We'll call Messiah, Mashiach. It's when the collective consciousness of people will come to the place, and this is only nobody going to come on donkey and do work for us. It's absolutely misleading. We are the ones who are going to bring the final redemption, our collective consciousness, our internal work. So Baal Shem Tov used to heal people just by touching the pulse. He used to take your hand, and just by touching your pulse, he could say everything. He could say what issues, problem on the physical level, but he would never tell you how to fix your physical body. He will tell you what the mission you came, what is your calling, because your pulse come from Or Chokhmah. It's connected to the wisdom in your brain. This is why I don't like to take people all around. I love to take them to the core, to the seed of the thing, not problem, the seed, to understand, because without understand the whole body, the bigger picture, you cannot fix your liver without fix your anger. You cannot fix your vision without choose how you're using your eyes. You cannot fix your anger with your mouth. It's not enough just to restrict. Restriction work only on a very limited time. But if you still the anger inside, it will boil and it's need to come out. And it can come, God forbid, from some physical dysfunction in your body. So restriction, it's a big word, but when you start to work in restriction by transforming energy, only then it starts to work for you. So as soon person start to really do what he came for, his calling, his body start to work for him on a physical level. This is how deep. Your calling, Sarah, for example, if someone
Amazing.
just working as a salesperson, but he's really not happy, he's suffering, he knows he can be amazing with children, he's really has artistic ability. We live in time, if you're not going to use your calling, you're going to suffer. If before our parents, even 20, 30 years ago was okay, now no, now everything completely reveal, everything, so to say, raw energy, and this is the most perfect time to find who you are. Have no fears to go, and you rather, and you will come, and actually souls who used to make big money for it. I have a lot of clients who came from big accomplishment, and they're right now looking for completely else. They don't, it's not like they don't care about the approach, how they want to make the same money, or how they want to completely different. They want really to enjoy the process. While they do, they really need to understand what is the mission, what is the end of the process, how what I do, how it's affect the people around you. Because the future of the business, it's already now. It's not the future, it's actually now. Without high consciousness, without spirituality, your money not going to stay with you. I'm just telling you right away.
No, that's true. I agree. I totally agree.
And you don't you don't even want the money not belongs to you. Believe me, you want to run from it. You find something, you want to find who this belongs to. I don't want, it's not mine. This is the consciousness of people right now. Need to be more and more. You understand?
As on Twitter the other day, and people are saying there's a certain generation of people who are about to retire, who do not understand a new generation which is coming into the workplace, who are not driven by money, who are not driven by that crazy success. They are driven by serving, and apparently they're finding such a disconnect. They don't know how to deal. That generation doesn't know how to deal with this new generation, which is so driven, but they're driven not by the money and the success, but they're driven by how they can help one another, how they can help the world, how they can help everyone. And the focus is mainly on ending suffering, pain and suffering within people. And I thought, wow, we're witnessing this happening right before our own eyes. Isn't that
Sarah,
amazing?
yeah, Sarah, you profoundly touched something really important. I'm sure many of your audience people, they're very spiritual people, and they probably maybe know on subconscious level. You see, in 80s and beginning of 90s, we've been receiving new level of souls. It's called souls of the future. They call indigo souls, they call different way. Those souls right now becoming 30, 35, they the future leaders of the countries. So listen.
Gosh, I've got goosebumps as you say
Me
this.
too, me too.
Whoa.
We're talking about people, the first people were sent to us after the atom bomb in Hiroshima, Nagasaki. When they saw what we about to do, they sent new volunteers, new souls of the future volunteers to come here to bring new consciousness, because they're afraid and we kids here are going to destroy the planet. So what's happened next? In 70s, they sent another level souls who start to prepare the environment for the indigo souls who will come in 80s and 90s.
In the 80s, yeah.
Yes, and what's happened right now, these souls who's right now becoming at the age to become leaders of the countries, who become leaders of those souls see money and sustenance from completely different perspective. So whatever we see right now happen in our government, those people slowly going to fall.
I thought
they're holding to something it's not exist. They gone. What we see right now is the last breath of the existence. So the new consciousness, it's already here. The new people gonna come and replace the government, and I have to tell you, Sarah, what's happened right now, actually December, it's very important months. Because what's happened on the solar eclipse, if you don't mind, I just want to mention.
No, I like that.
The solar eclipse we have on December 4th, it was in the stink of Scorpio. And it was touching very important star Aldebaran. And what's happened, and the two nodes, which is on Scorpio and Taurus, it's almost done their work for the last 2.5 years. They changing their houses in April. So the time now, I wanted for your audience to listen what I'm saying. I'm giving to all of you one very important tip. Start right now, already in December, until at least April, and the 6 months, even June. It's going to be
April
such a huge
2022.
transformation. You all guys need to be really prepare yourself for new vision, new eyes, to be ready to see things a different way. Do not see luck. Everything what's coming is just blessings. Everything that's coming right now is more we're going to see and set ourselves on this stage. We're going to receive completely different blessings. We're going to receive completely different future. Anyone who right now is still in pain and suffering, they don't see the full picture, they're still in blame, they will continue suffer. But people who's going to elevate the consciousness, they're going to be transformed, so to say, to the new earth, the new level of consciousness, and they will suddenly see things. You're going to be you're going to be your own family member. You're going to feel the strangers. You still will need to love them, but don't make no mistake. Do not let not your friends, nor your family member, nor your coworker to take away you from what you see. Because each of us, even our own children, we're all going to earn the place on our own. I don't want to be sounds cruel, but this is the reality of the coming, what's happening. And people need to be prepared, the people who you surround yourself with. We're going to create new groups. We're going to create new communities. We're going to look what does food represent for us. We're going to start to eat less. It's going to be completely different quality of food. We're going to connect to different healings with each of us healer. When you're telling me why my astrology call healing as well, when we finish our reading, I want to make sure that I send you as a healer. You, your own healer. You don't need to depend on anyone except
anybody. Yes.
100%, 100%, because it's everything inside of you. You have the whole thing.
You know,
just need to start to use it.
You've just said something very, very profound again, which just reminded me that I literally in the last probably 2 weeks, I've come across so many people who are transitioning from what they used to do to doing something completely different, something with their hands. Just today, I just spoke with someone who is doing oils for different things, and this is someone who used to chase the big monies and everything, but they are now driven by different things, helping people, she's been nominated like within her community for the great work she's doing. Yesterday I spoke to another one, again she's doing oils and essential oils and things to help women of a certain age. So this thing is happening right before our own eyes.
100%.
And 100%. Before we close, I'm thinking for someone who is, say, listening to this or watching us, and they're thinking, where do I even start? Because it can be overwhelming for some. And that transition, you know, I don't know, I'm sure you've come across so many people, that transition can be very confusing, that sometimes one might wonder, am I doing the right thing? My life didn't mean anything up until now. What should I do? Where do I go? And in most times we find these people struggling, even because if the family, friends you're used to do not understand you anymore, someone needs to find those new people. But before they even find those people, they want to connect with someone. They want someone who will at least give them even one tool to take along with them as they define themselves or find themselves. And which brings me to this. I heard that you have students and clients. Of course, you have clients and you have students. If somebody is inspired from listening to us and listening to what you explained and wanted to connect with you, how do you do that? Do you do like Zoom group meetings, or how do you go about that?
So I'm going to ask the first question you asked. Thank you so much. There's a few questions was with your question.
Yes.
Number one, about the transmission, about the friends, about how to find yourself and to be really truthful to yourself. You know, we have a thing which is called intuition. It's very important. People don't know many times how to use their own intuition and their own inner voice. It's very important. So I'm going to give a couple tools right away. First of all, what is the intuition? Intuition, it's receiving different shape and different quality every time when we grow spiritually. Is more you grow, is more you study, your own intuition receive different shape it's become stronger, it's become more in alignment with you. So it's really important. I'm just telling all your audience, without study, without elevating you spiritually, we have no chance. We have no chance. I'm just right away. People gonna keep eating themselves with their own chaos and see the limited thinking and limited vision. As soon you're coming out of this box and suddenly you start to see things differently, you don't react to things the way, you have different appreciation. It's really important. Now, to be more practical, we're already here. We used to be, as a pregnant woman, I'm going to compare. As a pregnant woman, we used to be in the mother womb, so nourished, warm, always food provided. Now she's given the birth. We in the middle of contraction. It's painful, but it's going to be so liberating. And not everyone will come from the labor alive. I'm just saying right away. But when you're going to come alive, you don't just want to come alive. You want to come alive healthy, happy, and with a lot of appreciation of what's happening around you. And this is we right now in the middle of the birth of the creation. They're really taking us to the new level, to people of the new consciousness, new reality. So I'm telling you right now, guys, don't feel any guilt if you see the people who used to be your friends or your own family member do not align with you. Do not let them to keep you behind and to hold you back. Absolutely not. Still give them love and still give them whatever attention, but do not give them the energy to take energy from you. You need to go straight. Let's say you're supposed to meet with someone and suddenly you wake up in the morning, you have some feelings, I don't feel like, don't go, be nice, reschedule. Yes, you start with these simple tools. You enter certain doors, you enter to a party, you thought to stay whole night. Don't be blind. Look around. You say to yourself, you know what? I already interact here. I feel this is the time for me to leave. Connect with yourself. Talk to yourself. Use your intuition. Let's say you meet someone and suddenly you met this person not in the best day of his life, and he was maybe a little more reactive, but deep inside you feel it's a good person. I don't want to determine right now my judgment just according to this moment where this person was a little bit, so give other people opportunity. I'm not saying to make reactive decision and close the store, no. Always, because as soon you give somebody opportunity and you underjudge, you will be underjudged above. The creation work like the perfect drugstore, pharmacy, the perfect natural pharmacy. As soon you easily forgive someone, don't hold any grudges. By the way, this is another thing you won't allow to come to the new place, to the new reality. You won't be allowed if you still have some pain holding. I'm just telling you guys right away, there will be no, we need to completely forgive. How to forgive? It's very simple. Now then you in higher consciousness, you're closing your eyes, you return to the same situation, but not with who you were then, who you now. And you will reevaluate everything with completely different light. And then you're going to laugh. You said, did I really react this way? This is how much energy I gave to something? It's won't even worth it, but it was process. It was beautiful process. You still appreciate. So this is number one. So in order for us to be prepared for the new reality, which is we're already in, we have to be careful with information we receive from media. We need to, what we listen, and we need to protect ourselves. I'm not saying to be in complete denial. A lot of us still, especially if you have like a very strong Leo in your chart, you want to be involved in politics. It's like, it's part of your identity. Or let's say you have areas in your chart very strong. You want to be driven. You still want to understand what you had, how things. That's fine. It's your nature. Use your nature. But in the same time, always say to yourself, everything what's happening right now for good. The only thing I can change it's myself and the way how I react to people, the way how I see things. And this is when really your own personal final redemption start with your own personal transformation. So this is one thing. The second, you can always leave my email. My assistant always respond with day or two if anyone interesting with initial session. With initial sessions, what I usually do, it's take from sometimes up to 1 hour and a half. And because if they come from you, they need to indicate they're going to get special discount. I'm going to offer a special offer for your audience as well.
Okay.
We're going to
We'll share the
discuss, you're going to,
details.
yes, you're going to put details as well. The way how it
Yes.
works is very simple. The first session, it's really important. First session, we're going to align all the foundation with really your fixed signs. If you have any royal stars, which is you're not even using, they sit in, it's almost like you're biting, you have a bike, broken bike, you still bike, and in your garage, you have space station. And I will tell you, Sarah, you have like a space station. Why are you not using? Why are you still using this old bike? And you will ask her, but this all I know. I said, no, let's open the manual. Let's see how to use the space station. It's sitting waiting for you. You're supposed to do that, that, and that. You at least need to try to push yourself, because this is the blessings come with your chart and you didn't even try it yet. And God, no, you never know, you know what I'm saying? So this is really important. And then I'm always given homework. And if person open, I can recommend to read certain books to start with. But really, really important, the desire. When someone comes with real desire, this is when the process starts. Because, you know, when you have a vessel, if, for example, I have a 3 liters of water, but the vessel I have only 200 grams, I can only put 200 grams. But it's all the process. When person receives a little bit, he expand himself more and more and more. And this is what it's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. You're gonna really feel different person. And again, we need to understand it has nothing to do with me. I'm only as a channel. The knowledge I receive and keep receiving every day and studying, working on myself, I actually grow with my students, with my clients. Sometimes after the reading, I'm sitting and I said to myself, wow, how many things I can learn now for myself? How many things, because when you channel, when you're telling somebody, you come to realization, you start to understand why God, it was such a message for me as well. I have to tell you, I have the agenda. What can I tell you?
It's an exchange of energy, isn't
It's
it?
exchange, yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Esther, you've been such an amazing guest. And to add on to what you just said, you mentioned news and the rest of noises going on around us. Many a times we make decisions based on what we hear from people around us, from the news we watch or read. And the only thing I probably would like to add is to, like you say, to isolate, to walk away from all that. And if we don't have space, because sometimes there's people who tell you, oh, well, my partner doesn't think I should maybe meditate, or he or she doesn't believe in that. Or my parents will not accept me sitting down meditating. We can create space in our heads and just go into that. Even when you're in your bed sleeping, you can just have that time to yourself. And like Esther said, apply those things even in the bathroom. Like, you don't have to do it where people are watching you and questioning you and making you doubt what you're doing. But any last notes, any final words of wisdom you'd like to leave our guests today, our listeners?
You know, Sarah, I have to say, you're such a channel. You just said something, and it was such a blessing, because you're, first of all, thank you so much. You're a love. You know, like I'm talking to you. You walk in love and energy, and this is a big blessing.
Thank you.
And this is just this is really, really amazing. This is what's making this world really beautiful place. And I can imagine how many things you need to go through to transform yourself in order to wait something you already came with. It's not something new. It's been sitting inside of you, and now is the time. And your soul, and you know, our souls we beg to be nowadays here. It's most transforming time ever was on human history. And when we understand the blessings with the opportunity, then we have millions of souls sitting in upper level waiting for our work. They cheering our ancestor lineages, Sarah, they cheering for us. They begging, telling Sarah, thank you. Because every time when we transform something with us, every time when we, so to say, discover something and we make decision like a creator, our ancestor lineages right away they gain another benefit. I'm just telling you, it's so connected, because what you are, Sarah, yes, your soul, but you are your ancestor lineages. You brought so much with you. Every woman, 28 generation of every woman who came before you, do you know how much work they did? Do you know how much struggle they went through? Do you know how many discoveries, how many birth, how many pain and happiness they went through? And they are Sarah. This is you. You understand? You're
Oh,
representing your
amazing.
tribe.
It's so humbling.
And so
It's
many
so
souls.
humbling when
So
you say it
to
like
finish
that.
with one thing, I'm going to
Yes.
take you right away to the truth. Because when you connect to the truth, to the bigger picture, it's much easier to work and see things. You see, Sarah, every time when we leave this world, we have opportunity to face creation and, so to say, judgment day. Each of us have a court where the assembly, they sit, and they're going to ask you, Sarah, how's your 45 books and how is all your millions of followers? And Sarah will say, what 45 books? I was okay with my mom. I was listening to my husband. I was good. No. Forget, they're not here right now with you. Did you do what you came for? So this is what I'm going to leave you with. There's a big answer to everything what you just said.
Wow, that's so profound. Thank you so much. Thank you, Esther. It's been such a blessing having you on this show. And something tells me it's not the last time we're doing this. It's probably the first. I feel so many things we can talk about. Like, I'll share them with you. Like, so many things we can possibly do together.
I would love that. I would love that. And by the way, if your audience have questions, you can collect certain questions and we can do even once a month, we can do answer the questions and whatever, we have right now sky alignments. We can go, I can explain a little bit what's happening right now with the sky, how to prepare, what to expect. We can do almost like a monthly broadcast and then yes, and then your audience have some questions. I would love to hear from them. I would love, absolutely.
I would love to have you back. Such a pleasure. Thank you so much. Everyone, thank you so much for listening to the Be Nice show. And we look forward to your comments, your questions, and your anything you'd like to share with us that you might be going through right now. Thank you, Esther. Lots of love.
Thank you so much. Thank you.